Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Never forget this day, 9/11. Never. Evil hurt us that day, but we healed. I hope and pray we never have to heal from that horror again. Here comes Kate Smith. God bless America. Good morning. And today of all days, a patriot to call in for our Pledge of Allegiance on this September 11th. And a good morning to you and yours on the September 11th, 2019, Zeb at the Ranch. And we're brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a great big fall tire sale going on right now. And don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living, beautiful location, beautiful place, 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I ask you a favor before you hang up? This day, September 11th, the meaning to you and your family?
The terrible devastation and the great unity that came from it.
Thank you. I appreciate your call. God bless you. Thank you. I think all of us have that feeling today. And I hope we remain in that feeling of unity. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go to the weather forecast. We're going to have this hour kind of a solemn remembrance of what happened on that day, 9/11, 18 years ago. And we're going to get into that in just a few moments. Right now, it's time for our weather, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Roger and the crew always there every day to serve you with the best of tools and equipment for whatever project you need to finish. And I might urge you that you got a lot of things you want to do, like put in new lawn sprinklers or water lines before the ground freezes. Better get there to K&R and check out the equipment. Give them a call, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A few more rain showers are in the forecast for today, but we're going to be warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. 20% chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly towards the afternoon. We are expecting a high of 65 tonight, nice and clear, with a low of 43. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of about 70, clear, and 43 for tomorrow night as we make our way towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of about 76 with an overnight low of 47. Then for Saturday and for Sunday, sunny skies and highs in the low to mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you, and brought to you by our friends Roger and the crew over at K&R Rental. And they're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They've got all the tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a job. Get a hold of them today, or if you have questions before you stop over, 678-3122. K&R Rental. Wow. I'm going to have, and I'll tell you this right up front, I'm going to have a hard time getting through this first hour this morning. I have the acquaintance of a gentleman that is back in New York and lost his son with the police department of New York during that devastating day 18 years ago. And we're going to be relating some of the stories and some of the occurrences that took place this first hour and your remembrances of 911. Caller, stand by. Right now, I'd also like to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget, they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And they are there also early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And they have literally, and it's the truth, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Very efficient people serving you for over 6 decades, almost 7 decades. They are the best at what they do. Burley is absolutely the home for Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Don't forget, also, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley. What menu choices. They are absolutely phenomenal for breakfast. May I suggest the strawberry vanilla crepes? Oh, wow. And may I also suggest all the great sandwiches, everything, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. And great people serving you, nice people serving you. You're going to enjoy it. We always do. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, it was 1945, and President Truman had to make a tremendous decision whether to drop the atomic bomb. But he knew who our enemy was and what he needed to do. Unlike George Bush, who didn't know for sure who these people were that were attacking us. They suspected it. But you can't go to war with just anybody. They didn't know which way to turn. And I think President Bush did a tremendous decision there to get the facts before you strike.
I couldn't agree more with you, Keith, and we're going to kind of, not in any special chronological order, but we're going to go through what happened on that morning. And I thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts on that. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. I want to remind everybody about Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. They are your animals, your pets, your livestock best friend. Absolutely, because they will help keep your animals healthy. Absolutely. And now don't forget, it's time for all the fall vaccinations, and there's been a couple of cases of pyro that have been found with the dogs around the area, so please get your puppies vaccinated. Call them today at 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. And it is so true with Dr. Bill and the crew. They are, of course, the people with the warm hearts for the cold noses. Stand by, caller. Don't forget to Dino Septic Service. These are people you need in a time of need. And they're there. Absolutely the best. Dino Septic Service. Septic tank pumping, septic tanks and drain fields installed, backhoe service. I mean, they're there. They've expanded their business to better serve more people in this area. So please get a hold of them today. Dino Septic Service at 436-6526 or 678-1638. The best of service to you with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. I still remember very well exactly what I was doing and how I felt, how I still feel about 9/11. I watched that second plane go into the second tower, and I sat there and cried for the devastation and the mutilation of people that were trapped in that building. I mourned for the people we lost, for the first responders that we lost. They ran into the fray as everybody else was trying to get the heck out. What a sad day for America.
A sad day is absolutely... I don't even know that if words can describe the feeling that I had on that morning, sitting here in this office and preparing for my program, Donna, and Deanne coming in and saying, oh my goodness, a plane just hit one of the towers in New York. I'll never forget her words. And I said, oh my goodness, I wonder what happened. And then just literally minutes later, another plane hitting the tower. And then the absolute feeling of horror. And you just feel like an empty glass. You know what I'm trying to say? You just, wow, what is happening in this country? What's going on? Then we hear about the Pentagon. Then we hear about the plane, Flight 93, crashing into a field in Pennsylvania. I mean, we were under a series of attacks that could have been, oh, so much worse.
Oh, definitely. You know, and it taught me that we are vulnerable at all times. We as Americans got kind of complacent, thinking that we were, the top dog and nothing could ever happen to us. Well, they proved that it could in a very devastating and horrifying way.
And you know something, and I say my prayers about this. We really, with complacency and partisan politics and dividing in this country, it almost is like we have forgotten, and now we're almost opening the door for it to happen again.
Oh, I think you're very right. I think the way the politics are going today, it could very well. We're going to be destroyed from within, Zeb. Some of these people are trying to take our values, they're just trying to take everything away.
Yeah.
And if we don't, as people, stand up and say, oh, I don't think so, buckaroo, it could very well happen again.
I could not agree with you more, Donna. And the American spirit, and I might be criticized for being a far right-winger that's basically a lot more hawkish than most people, but the American spirit has never been more prominent than what it was right after 9/11, and I hope we don't lose it.
You and I both. We came together as a country to fight back, and that's what we need to do right now, today.
I love the way you said that. Thank you, Donna. God bless you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You betcha. Have
all right, thank you. Don't forget, every Monday morning at 8:30, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox right there on the square in Rupert. Delicious restaurant, delicious bakery with everything fresh for you. Don't forget delicious cookies, a dozen of them, to give you if you answer the trivia question on Mondays at 8:30, and that's from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about our friends with Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, and you can let your house welcome you home with the perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Be sure and contact Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. They're offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. 18 years ago, this morning, evil hit us. Evil. Evil killed many of us on September 11th, a Tuesday morning, 2001. Islamic terror destroyed the dreams of over 3,000 people and their families. There were 4 coordinated terror plane attacks by Al-Qaeda. The Twin Towers Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the 4th, of course, that plane was headed for the Capitol to destroy our capital in Washington, D.C. And it was thwarted by the most courageous and brave people on that plane of Flight 93. Initially, there were 2,996 victims and well over 6,000 injured. And the complete bravery of the fire departments, police, volunteers going into the fray while others were running out or being carried out or helped out. This morning, again, and I thank them because they showed their courage. This morning, Fox News showed the montage of all the videos that were taken on this horrendous day 18 years ago. And I salute them for having the courage to show exactly what happened. Instead of other networks being cowardly and not showing anything but just talking about it. We need to see it. We need to remember it. Fox News showed the entirety of the first of the two planes hitting the tower, and then the second plane looping and making a big loop to the left and then coming in and hitting the second tower. The scenes that followed, and as I said, I was in my office prepping for the program that morning. The scenes that followed that, of the two planes hitting the towers, were something that you don't even want to think about. All the people with the devastation coming down around them after the initial hits, the smoke, the dust, the debris. And then watching the television and seeing people that have broken out windows from the 85th floor and upwards, and many others, breaking windows and jumping to their death instead of burning alive. I don't think I can ever forget that. I don't want to ever forget that. It created a complete shock of an entire nation. Who did this and how? You know, I might sound a little bit, I'm not even sure what the word is right now, when I mention that this morning, reading the newspaper, I stumbled across the comics section, and for some reason, I very seldom ever read the comics section. But for some reason, I stumbled and my eyes fell upon the comic strip, The Wizard of Id. And The Wizard of Id, that is drawn by Brant Parker and Johnny Hart. In the first of two segments of this cartoon, the two individuals of The Wizard of Id are saying, 18 years. Today's youth won't remember it happening. And the other person says, that's why we say it. Never forget. Never forget. And in front of them are two candles that are burning down. And I thought to myself, you know, even cartoonists and liberals, conservatives, all of us need to come together and remember never to forget that day. Where were you? What were you doing? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your calls, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location with the best of equipment for all your lifting and digging and pushing and carrying and whatever you need to do, grading, leveling. They've got it all. They've got it all. Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, all the Bobcats, and excellent financing programs, and also great rental programs at Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Once again, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa, serving you. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I've got to get one other good word on, and then I'll put you right on the air. Thank you so much. Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have a big sale coming up this weekend on Saturday, and I urge you to be a part of it. Yes, it's going to be this Saturday, September 14th at 11 o'clock over in the Castleford area, 618 East, 3500 North. Look for all the signs put on by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. It's the Whitey and Linda Jones Estate Auction. Lots and lots of antiques, lots and lots of glassware and furniture and household items. I urge you to go over there and be a part of it. Bennett Boys Auction Service putting it on this Saturday, Whitey and Linda Jones Estate Auction, and it starts at 11 o'clock over in the Castleford area. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello again. I just want to remind the people that these pilots that they have flying these planes were educated in the United States of America, and we probably paid for their education for them to kill.
Well, I'm sure that the American taxpayer did fund for their education and their training, etc., in any one or many shapes and forms. But you're 100% right, Keith, and I appreciate your calling back and reiterating that point. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Zebediah, have a good day, but 18 years ago, we were up in the basin, a bunch of us guys was moving cows. We were saddled up, had the horses all loaded and everything, and we lacked one of the ranchers. And he was never late, but that morning he was late. And when he did come out, he said, "Those son of a bees bombed the towers." And we went and moved cows that day with that on our minds, talking about it, and when we got back, he never unsaddled his horse. He ran to the house, watched TV to see what was going on. 18 years ago, that's what a bunch of us were doing. And that's where we were at.
You know, Bob, there's so many stories like yours of people that they were just leaving their homes to go to work, or they were getting the kids off to school, or they were going somewhere, or they were staying in their home and the housewives were doing the dishes or whatever, and then all of a sudden the shock, the absolute shock of being attacked like we were with 4 different airliners and 4 different targets. I mean, it just put our whole nation, regardless of whether you're on the left coast or the right coast, it put us into a complete state of shock.
And then to think that those jackasses were educated here in the United States, and I helped pay for it. That's despicable.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, Zeb. Have a good day.
Bob, thank you very much for your call. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, hang on just a second. There's one other thing I want to say, if I could, quickly, and then I'll come right to you. There are so many brave people, and a lot of us would like to think, well, we'll be John Wayne, and we'll stand tall in the face of danger and adversity, but we don't know unless we're really faced with a major, serious problem. Can you imagine, just for a few moments, what it must have been like on that Flight 93 when the passengers learned that the terrorists on board had the Washington, D.C. Capitol, our capital, as the target? And they formed a group of power and tried to take over the jet. And they did. And they all died by diverting the flight of that plane, Flight 93, into the dirt of a field in Pennsylvania. But the words of Todd Beamer live on forever. He gave a battleground cry of, "Let's roll." Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I have the privilege of, I think one would call it, of flying today. I was at home getting ready for work, and then when they hit the Pentagon, I was on my way to work. And I remember hearing, they left the radio on in parts of the school where I was working all day, in some of the special ed classes, and I thought, oh, gee, that's not that great to do for, the kids and everything. But I will never forget the atmosphere that day, and thinking there are no civilian planes in the sky. And then I remember how we watched the rescue and all unfurl, and how we pulled together as a country and came together to pray. And we were patriotic, and we must not ever forget.
Linda, I have a little bit different concept than yours in regards to the first part of your statement. I personally think that every year that video should be shown to any and all students in America, from first grade all the way through high school and or college, so that they see the terror and devastation of what evil is, what evil does, and how evil must be stopped.
Yeah, these are the little preschool kids that where the radio was playing all day. But I don't know how much they took in of it. But yes, we need to remember that we are vulnerable. And we need to remember that it's by the grace of God that we continue as a country, and we need to pull together, and we need to stay under His protection and His grace. And
amen. And right there, you've summed up my feelings, is that this country came together in thought and in prayer. And we were a stronger nation for it. And then 18 years hence, we are seeing such divides and basically such an anti-God, anti-religious atmosphere grow in this country like a cancer. And it makes me wonder many, many times, whether it's on the radio or whether it's personally with my friends, how bad are we going to get before we realize the past and remember what happened and try to pray that it never happens again?
Exactly. I've had that very thought, and I was thinking about how I'm flying to Chicago today, and I thought what Todd Beamer and that group did, and how those wonderful people who lost their lives in the World Trade Center and knew that they were going to die, and they called home and said things like, "I love you."
Yeah. Linda, you are always a welcomed asset to the program, and be safe, my dear friend, and God's blessings to you. Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I remember that morning, and it was that Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. And later on that week, as a matter of fact, I was going to be leaving the next day after the program to go to a rodeo. Everything was in total tumultuous activity as far as no planes, travel, everything was being curtailed, everything was being thought about being shut down, etc. And many, many, many events all across the United States were being canceled. We just didn't know. We just didn't know if there were more attacks that were planned, more areas of concern that were targeted. We didn't know. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, well, I don't know where divine intervention begins and free will ends, but mostly I think it's up to us. And I understand that we want God's grace. And I don't know how it works, but I think mostly this stuff is depending on us and what we do with the opportunities that are from God. And what do we do with them? Opportunities come in millions of ways. But what are we doing with them? Are we distracted? Are we aware? Do we care? But we can never forget what happened. But you're right. Now we're in a place where we're so divided, and our leaders who this morning were singing God Bless America, and you say to yourself, well, I know some of those people actually believed in that song, and I know the others don't believe in it at all. A prayer, an insincere prayer does not work. It does not, God does not recognize insincerity. And these people are playing games with our future and what's going on here, and it's not to be trifled with. And you're right. Can you imagine being in the towers and being buried alive? I can't even imagine. I'm going to hang up, Zeb. Thanks.
Randy, God bless you, man. Thank you. You know, I was listening to Bernard Kerik this morning, former police commissioner for New York City. I've had him on my program twice. And he talked about the debris falling from the towers. And many of the firemen and many of the police had to be with one eye on the ground, one eye where they were going, and also keep an eye to the sky for the debris. But then he said, some of the debris was not what you think it would be. They were humans falling the hundreds of feet to their death, jumping out of that inferno. And 18 years later, listening to Mr. Kerik describe this horrendous event, the tears welled in his eyes with a remembrance of seeing people jumping out of the tower to their death. I mean, I personally cannot even envision or imagine how horrendous it was to be there at the Twin Towers that day, or the Pentagon, or what happened on Flight 93 with those courageous, absolutely courageous individuals, Todd Beamer and many others, that said, no, this plane's not going to go to the Capitol. We're going to take it over. Let's roll. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, I want to remind you, let your house welcome you home with perfect temperatures. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Check it out at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. So be comfortable. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, it's a somber day, and I remember I was just getting ready to leave the house to go to work and seeing that, and it was just I sat there and I thought, who would even think of doing something like this? And then once we found out what it was and who was behind it, it's brought America together. We weren't Democrat and Republican after that. We were Americans. And that's what we need. We need to be Americans again.
Absolutely. You know, there's been people in this area and some from out of the area that listen on the internet that have criticized me, and, you know, I hear this all the time. Oh, you're a white nationalist. Yes, I am. Doug, I'm not going to ever back up from that verbiage or that name tag. I am a white Caucasian. Can't change that. And I'm a nationalist. I believe that this country is the greatest country on the earth ever. And it was founded upon godly Christian principles, and that's the way I am. I love this country, the United States of America. You can call me anything you want to and denigrate me, but I am a nationalist that believes this country is the greatest, and we've got to try hard to put it back where it should be.
Exactly. So, you know, they call us a white nationalist because, like you say, we do not choose our skin color or our, you know, God does that for us. But what about these people that are black and Hispanic and Asian? Are they black nationalists that love this country and willing to lay their life on the line for this country? Are they black nationalists or Hispanic nationalists? No. They only pick on the white race because they think we are privileged.
Yeah.
I have worked for everything I have, and so have you, and 90% of Americans have worked for everything they have.
But, you know, look at it from the frame of 18 years ago. When the planes hit the towers, and the planes hit the Pentagon, and the plane of Flight 93 hit that field, there wasn't color. There wasn't race. There was humanity, helping humanity. And nobody cared whether you were black or brown or yellow skin. Everybody raced to help each other. And that's what we need to stay with.
Exactly. And all those flights that were diverted and told to land immediately, like that one in Denver, I heard a couple on TV talking about it. They were on that flight, and what they remember is the humanitarian of the people that come out to feed them and make them comfortable while they were on the ground when, you know, they couldn't go to their destination. So they made them comfortable. And that's humanity right there.
And it all goes back to we should never, ever forget, and I'll say this one more time, and we've got another caller waiting, that I honestly believe that video montage of what happened 18 years ago should be shown in every single school district in America so these students know and appreciate how bad America took a strong hit and came back and tried to defeat evil again.
Exactly. And America became just like it did after bombing of Pearl Harbor. How people come together. I mean, I'm sure those folks that fought in World War II that went and signed up and tried to sign up when they were 16 and 14 years old to defend this country had the same patriotism that we had after 9/11.
Absolutely. Doug, I always appreciate your calls. I really do, and your comments. And you do so much to help the community and also the seniors. And real quick, what do you got for me this morning?
Well, let's go have some yummy dessert today and some very great conversation on history. Go eat at a senior center.
There you go. Doug, thank you. God bless you, man. Thanks. Caller number 2, I'm going to go to you first before I go to the weather forecast. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, we had just got down to the VA in Salt Lake City, and we couldn't go in the entrance that we usually did because there were armed guards there, and we had to go around behind and show our identification and everything to get in there. And then people started saying something about the planes from Los Angeles, and we had no idea what was going on, and I don't know where the Los Angeles came from, but that's what they were saying when we got there. And then we stood there and watched as that other plane hit the second tower, and oh my gosh, tears just ran down my face, thinking, oh my gosh, terrorism has hit this country. And all the horrible devastation and the horrible loss of lives, and like you said, people jumping out of the windows. It was just almost more than I could imagine.
You know, I thank you.
The way that people came together, there's still a lot of good people in this world, and they show up when terrible things like this happen.
And you, knowing you like I have for many, many years, you are one of those good people, and I certainly appreciate your call this morning, Lorna. God bless you. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, God bless you too, and God bless everybody.
Thank you. A wonderful lady right there. We appreciate her. Thank you. Time for our weather forecast quickly, and of course the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And I urge you, like I do every morning at this time, to call them, talk to them, tell them that you have a hearing diminishment and you're really concerned about it. Let them have provide a hearing screening for you and find out exactly what the problems are. They can and they will help you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. The number to call, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A few more rain showers are in the forecast for today, but we're going to be warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. 20% chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly towards the afternoon. We are expecting a high of 65 tonight, nice and clear, with a low of 43. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of about 70, clear, and 43 for tomorrow night as we make our way towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of about 76 with an overnight low of 47. Then for Saturday and for Sunday, sunny skies and highs in the low to mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Rand.
Oh, thank you very much, Gina. Don't forget, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, always providing expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology to provide the most comprehensive treatment for your hearing health. Call for an appointment today at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Today is birthday and anniversary dinner celebration at the Burley Senior Center. We're having turkey and dressing, mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, and yummy dessert. It'll be good. I don't know what it is, but...
And it's only $5, right, Joe?
Pardon?
I say it's only $5.
Yes.
We'll
come all.
All right. Well, it sounds like you got another call waiting for you, but Joe Taylor, thank you very much for your call. Burley Senior Center on Overland, thank you very much. Good guy right there. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244 on our remembrance of 9/11, 18 years ago. An attack that was orchestrated with the evil, sinister mind of Osama bin Laden. And very fortunately, he met his demise with SEAL Team 6. Dead. No tears. Gone. But one of the other masterminds, caller, stand by, I'll be right with you. One of the other masterminds of this evil, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, caught, brought here to this country, and has been sitting in jail for over 18 years. Still, no trial. Why? Why? This sinister, evil, absolute vermin of a human being still sitting in jail at the taxpayers' expense. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, again, this whole grace of God thing is and prayer causes us to act and think and live and feel in a right spirit and have a particular philosophy of life. And then after that, we have got to stand up together with that philosophy and let our congressmen know what we feel and fight with our vote, for one thing, for what is good and what is right. And I will agree, I never thought I would ever see our country in this fix that we're in. But we have to follow prayer with response.
Absolutely. And we could go on and on about prayer and beliefs and religion and the backbone of our country, etc. But you're so right. Linda, thank you again. And like I said earlier, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, SEAL Team 6, heroes. And then they died in very mysterious circumstances under the Obama administration. And it is such an unbelievable thing. And we forget about it. And studying it, you know that this was to cover up and help, I would say, Hillary Clinton, Obama, and see what kind of leaders, what kind of patriots were they? Not SEAL Team 6. They were heroes. I'm talking about Clinton and Obama. It's a negative, but it's truth.
There were so many heroes of 911 that will live on, hopefully, in the history books and in infamy forever, regarding all the people that work for the fire department, the police department, the volunteers, everyone that went into the problem and tried to help and solve the problem, and also like the heroes on that Flight 93. I cannot imagine, Randy, the thoughts that were going through their mind, whether it was Todd Beamer and all those people that said, this plane is not going to hit the capital of our country, the United States. We're going to bring these terrorists and the plane down before that happens, and let's roll. That took absolute courage.
Yes, it did. I was sitting in church last Sunday, and there's been a certain church organization has encouraged not bringing guns into the sanctuary anymore, which is fine. But I was sitting there thinking about if somebody did come through the door, and would I jump up and run over and try to stop him? And I said to myself, yes, I would. And not that I think I'm some sort of a hero, but I sure wouldn't let them kill anybody else. But isn't it a shame that we even have to have thoughts like this?
Absolutely. Randy, I've got to run and wrap things up for this hour, but thank you very much. I want to give credit where credit is due, and they do so much for us and you, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are our major sponsor, and we really appreciate everything they do. They're having a huge fall tire sale right now. You can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires. You better stop by and check it out on the Backcountry Touring HT, the Terramax HT, and many others. So please stop in and see them today for the best and safest of driving tires at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, and the best of service. From Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley, the best. That's right. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You know, there is one song that comes to mind, and every time I hear it, the hair on the back of my neck stands up with pride for this country, America, and a motivation to stand up and fight for this country and what it means. And that song, of course, was recorded by Toby Keith. And my dear friend Wheels over at the station, I believe, has that ready to go, and we'll play that going into the news from CBS. God bless you all on this day of infamy, September 11th, 9/11. Wheels, please. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Hour number 2 as we're rolling on this 9/11 and a very somber day of remembrance. And remember, we all should. Zev at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires and a big fall tire sale going on right now, along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living, 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and if you're not familiar with the services they offer, from the dumpsters to the storage units to the route pickup on the every week on the garbage or whatever the case might be, I urge you to give them a call, 734-6969. Get on the route service. Once a week they'll come by, pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Once again, a reminder, we want you to stay comfortable, and your home can welcome you home with the perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access. You can adjust it anywhere, anytime. That's right. Check it out today. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox are offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new home comfort system. So check it out today. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online, ramseysonline.com.
Sir?
Yes.
Would you be able to take a short call real quick before we go to Mr. Bigo?
I don't want to have Dave wait too long, but let me do one more commercial and tell the caller it's got to be 30 seconds or less. I'll be right there. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't forget, too, our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, serving you and your family, always providing the families that they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and also with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to remember the number 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Caller, real fast. I've got a guest waiting on the line. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say I appreciate your memorials that you're having today, but I'll tell you, it just scares the heck out of me about the hypocrisy of the Democrats that could stand on the Capitol steps this morning and sing God Bless America when they sit there and they kill 5 to 8 million people a year with abortions. They sit there and they're letting every illegal immigrant that they can come into this country, trying to take our guns away. They're doing everything they can, and none of them have any heart at all about what happened to those people on 9/11. And God help us, because if he doesn't help us, this country's going to hell in a handbasket, and we better hope that something happens soon.
You know, sir, I appreciate your comments. That's a great summation of the way I feel also. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, a dear friend, on this 911, and I want to get his viewpoints, his remembrances. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb. How you doing?
Well, we spent the first hour, and I don't back up for anybody on this program, Dave. We spent the first hour talking about 911 18 years ago, where people were, where I was, what I was doing, what happened, exactly all the heroes of that day that have gone on to live, I think, in infamy, as they should. What are your thoughts about 911 and the remembrance of a day that we were attacked?
Well, I think that we all ought to express our remembrance and our praise for those people that God will take care of them that died on that day, and what they went through, and of course the people that helped bring down the jet and stopped further destruction in that, and we have to look at that as a day of remembrance in America, that there are people who want to bring down this country, and we got to stand up and fight that and stop it. And again, we have to remember those people, and God bless their souls.
Dave, what were you doing on that day? I was in my office getting ready for the preparation of my program, doing a bunch of paperwork, etc. And then my wife walked in with a shocked look on her face and said a plane had just hit one of the Twin Towers in New York. And from there, my whole day and everyone's day just was in a state of shock and awe as to what happened. What were you doing?
I was actually in my vehicle driving to a meeting, and I had the radio on, and that, that was broadcast across the radio, and I just couldn't believe it, Zeb. My heart just sunk, and of course I kept the radio on and listened to that, and wherever I was going, I kind of detoured and stopped and just listened to the radio and prayed for the people.
You know, Dave, I have said this in the past, and Wheels, we've got a little feedback here on the line, please. I've said it in the past, and I'm going to keep saying it every year, that I honestly believe, and no one is going to change my mind on this, that the video montage of the planes hitting the tower and all the subsequent reactions, and of course what happened at the Pentagon, and then also in that field in Pennsylvania, all of this should be shown, I think, to every school child in America as a teaching lesson about evil and how the United States thwarts evil, and what a great country the United States is.
I agree with you 100%, and our kids need to be educated on our history and that, and to be honest with you, Zeb, it's just not 9/11. I mean, that's a big one that they should be allowed to view, and while they're in school. But I've read articles in the past couple of years where our history of our country and how we became such a great nation is not being taught to our kids like it was back when we were in school.
Absolutely.
And that's sad that our kids don't understand what made this country great and how we grew to be the greatest country in the world.
How do we change this, though? I sit here and I have guests on every day, new guests every day. I have about 4 or 5 on the different segments every day of the program. And when it comes up to these kinds of conversations, I say, how? How? I don't want to hear the lip service of, yeah, we need to change it. How are we going to change it? And why aren't we?
Well, I think we have to continue to broadcast this thing like you do on your show, but I think we also need to go and face the teachers and the teacher unions, and because the unions, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. With this 2020 election, they are really going out and pushing hard for forced union dues and still collecting dues of people, even though that. The Janus asked me things, said that they couldn't keep those dues. They need to give them back, and they're keeping them. And the Democrats are behind them 100% on this because they want this money to win the 2020 election for president, the presidency, and the Senate, and keep the House. And we need to get politicians in place that do the right things, and we restructure our school systems where we don't have liberals in there teaching all the time, and unions dictating what needs to be taught so that our kids really learn the history of this country and all the things they need to learn to move this country forward.
Dave, we have a little bit of a technical problem here this morning. I don't know if it's your cell phone or your phone or what, but we have a little VoIP problem on the air. Let me check with my engineer, Wheels. Is there any way that we can help correct that, or is it on the other end with Mr. Beagle? What is happening over there?
I'm noticing it just when Bigo talks, so I'm wondering if maybe I can try to call him back and see if that'll...
let's do that, because I don't want to miss what Dave has to say about the unions. So, Dave, we're going to hang up on this line. We're going to get you right back on the air with another line to see if we can stop that VoIPing, and we'll be right with you. And in the meantime, I'm going to do a quick commercial. Wheels, quickly. Let's not forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely, if you're aching and paining and trying to recoup from an injury or a surgery, they will help you. They know how to help you. Nick Greenwell and all the great physical therapists over there are very, very qualified and ready and eager to help you and get rid of your pain. Absolutely. They've been helping me and done a great job, too. Listen, get a hold of them today, 678-1191, 678-1191, and they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best, bar none. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Wheels, do we have Mr. Beagle back on the line?
We do, sir.
All right, thank you. Dave, we were having some phone technical problems. I think we've got it eliminated now. The unions, I think people, and I'm just going to say this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the people in the United States are weakened in their thought about the sinister aspects of the unions and what they're trying to do and the power that they possess. Would you agree or disagree?
You mean American people?
Yeah, I think that they've been dumbed down, and there's been such a lull, and I don't think they really understand the movement under the water as far as unions wanting to take control, get control, and pay for control.
No, a lot of people, especially in the Democratic Party on the left, don't understand that. However, having said that, there's a lot of union members who have woken up to the fact that the union bosses are not for this country. They're not for their membership. All they want to do is unionize these people and, collect their dues and use that money for their pocketbook and for their political agenda. And, the stuff I'm talking to you about is and I got an email from Rand Paul, who supports the National Right to Work Foundation. And he is, and the National Right to Work Foundation is really putting a lot of legal cases out against the unions. And the thing that he says is, and I hope people would go to the National Right to Work Foundation's website, and they have a 2019 Citizen Opinion Survey. And I think people need to go take that survey because I think this will help them, and it will help the National Right to Work move forward into protecting Americans' rights and employees' rights. But you have to understand something about all this, Zeb, is that the reality is big labor is a major political power broker because politicians have given them the power no other private organization has. And that is one of the big things, the power to take money from workers' paychecks to use for politics. And this all goes, 95% of it goes to the Democratic Party.
Okay, bottom line, let's not beat around the bush. Let's not chase the rabbit. How concerned on a scale of 1 to 10 are you about some insidious, under the water, like I said a moment ago, movements by not only labor unions, but also the Democratic Party and very wealthy, sinister people that do not want President Trump back in office in 2020? How concerned is Dave Beagle?
I am very concerned, and let me read you this line out of this email that I got from Rand Paul. He says, Bernie Sanders has turned over his campaign workers to union boss control and is challenging the other presidential candidates of the Democratic Party to do the same. So this tells you right there that this is all about the Democratic Party getting the union bosses back in power so they can get their money and give them the ability to force unionize people and control people and use that money to win the 2020 election and get the Senate and keep that for a long time to come.
Okay, so that's being said right there in print, and Rand Paul's on top of it. But what about the entirety of the Republican Party and the commissions to elect Donald Trump, re-elect Donald Trump for president? I mean, are these people on top of it? Are they aware? Are they fighting back? What's going on?
Well, and I've talked about this before, and I've talked about it in my blogs, and the problem with the Democratic Party is a lot of them don't have the backbone to stand up and, address these issues and do it in a professional manner and make sure that the unions and the Democratic are exposed for what they're really doing to the American people. And this needs to happen. And as I've said on your show before, and again, this is another sentence out of this article, the union bigwigs will be unleashing an all-out effort to install compulsory unionism majorities in both the House of Congress and put the likes of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Beto O'Rourke in the Oval Office.
I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I'm sitting here on this program, and I'm so frustrated because I'm seeing evil. I don't give a rip if people are offended by that term or not. Evil is starting to permeate itself into every aspect of our life, and right now we're seeing an evil left. We're seeing and hearing from these evil Democrats that absolutely have denounced God, denounced religion, denounced our Constitution, denounced our moral values, our family values, and we're going to put one of those possibly in the Oval Office as president? What is the matter with us?
Well, I don't think it's the majority of Americans. I really don't. I think it's the far left, who are communist socialists that want to bring this country down and make us into a communist socialistic country without God in it. And it's time Americans wake up and fight back. And again, I hope that they will go to this and do this 2019 Citizens Opinion Survey because the National Labor Relations Foundation aims to show that a majority of Americans demand an end to coercive union power. And I hope people listening today will go out and get on their site and do this.
Dave, what about you and other business owners? And you employ many, many people. What are you doing to fight against this?
Well, I'm talking to politicians, and I've talked to them on both sides of the aisle, and will continue to do that. And I try to get them involved, and I try to get them to read my book, because all the tactics we're seeing that's going on right now are the same ones that the SEIU used against us. And the whole thing about that is to get you to bring you down and get you to back off and your backbone to crumble and to do what they want you to do and then control you. And of course, to control your people and, force union dues from them. And we need people all across the country, no matter what kind of job you're in or where you live or whatever it is, to stand up and have a backbone and push back and expose these people for what they really are and do it in a professional manner.
We are 14 months away from the elections in 2020. And I was talking to a good friend on the East Coast yesterday, and we were talking about all the turmoil. We were talking about subjects like what you're saying, with big money trying to take over the election and steal the election. And the last couple of words that he said on the phone call were, if you think it's rough now, we ain't seen nothing yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, he's right, and I've seen it. So, I've experienced it all. I've been through it, and I know what it is. And and I've seen what they've done to companies that buckled down under their pressure, and what happened to the companies and to their employees in that. And these people, they don't understand how to be successful in a capitalistic free market society. They only know how to be successful in a regime where they control things, like a socialist, communistic type of regime. And Americans need to get on their computers and look at countries like Venezuela and Cuba and other around the world that have turned into socialistic communist countries, and look at the pictures and read what's going on, and that should stir them up and get their backbone moving.
Absolutely. Real quick, I want to have you give your thoughts about John Bolton as National Security Advisor. Out the door. Evidently, there was a big rift between President Trump and Bolton. Your thoughts? The Democrats and the left and CNN and other dolts are trying to make this into a major conflagration. I just think that Bolton was too much of a hawk and not using a lot of common sense, and I think the majority of the advisors agreed with President Trump. Time to open the door and let him go through.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Zeb. And I was watching Condoleezza Rice last night talking about it, and she kind of felt the same way about him.
Right.
Too. Even though she felt he had, a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, it's how he handled the situations.
You bring up that lady's name, and I want you to give me a quick response on this. I have been always a big supporter of Condoleezza Rice. I supported her when she was possibly going to run for president back in 2007 against Barack Obama. I think this lady is being wasted, and that's my own terminology. As a professor at Stanford University, I would love to see her get back in politics. Quickly, your thoughts.
Well, I would too, and but they brought that up to her last night and asked her if she's going to run for politics or if she'd run for president because they thought she'd be a good president. She says, no, I enjoy what I'm doing. I am going to stay, being a professor and teaching. That's what I want to do.
But you know something? Something tells me, though, if the circumstances and situation and the climate change of politics hit hard enough, I think she would jump back in.
Well, she might. I think that... there's some people in the Republican Party that need to go talk to her.
Absolutely. Dave Bego, you are such a dear friend to me and this program, and I absolutely thank you for all your thoughts. Every Wednesday, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and can I say one other thing real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal this week, I don't know if you saw it. Scientists discover new evidence of the asteroid that killed off the dinosaurs, and what was interesting is that this thing created a 3-decade or more ice age because of the sulfur and dust that was in the atmosphere, and it actually, the Earth turned into an ice age from being a warm climate back in those days, and the Democrats want to talk about climate change all the time, and the climate has gone up and down for ages in this, that was 65 million years ago when it killed the dinosaurs. And, it's gone up and down throughout the years without man having any effect on it, and that's what's going on now, too.
The only being that has a hand on the thermostat is God.
That's exactly right.
Thank you, Dave. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, and always appreciate his comments. I want to remind you quickly about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the crew. They're having a great big closeout on some of their mattresses and special pricing on their floor coverings. I mean, for the beautification and comfortization of your home, you'd better get in there. You're going to be spending a lot more time indoors, and you'd better be comfy. They've got a lot of new furniture in at Lee's Furniture, very comfortable, and of course they're having window coverings on sale right now, blind shutters, roller blades, and many more, 30% off on all the window coverings. Wow. Stop in, and these are the folks that can help you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. Right now, I also want to remind you about our friends at Let's Ride. Yeah, you got to get outside. You've got to get out and enjoy some of the beautiful fall weather. What a way to do it on a side-by-side or a four-wheeler. I'm telling you, get into Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. I urge you to stop in because right now the 2020 models are coming in already, and that means you can save money on the 2019s. Get into Let's Ride today. All the accessories, super service department to keep you running. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. You know, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And for anybody that wants to argue, you can call the number, but we absolutely are blessed with some very, very fine, professional, caring legislators in this great part of the state of Idaho. And I called my dear friend Fred Wood earlier this morning, and I said, Fred, I got a jam. One of my guests just called. This was about 15 minutes before the program, and I said, I need help. I've got a guest that canceled at 9:30. Would you come on? And that's the kind of a man he is. Absolutely helpful. Representative Fred Wood, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great this morning, Zeb. How are you?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes, so thank you for being on the program.
Oh, no problem. Happy to do so anytime.
Well, Fred, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things that are being criticized, a lot of things that are being scrutinized, etc. And let's just get right down to the gnat's eyebrow on this. In the last election, there was a vote, yay or nay, for Medicaid, and since then we've seen a lot of repercussions about where is the money going to come from to fund Medicaid, and there's been a lot of people howling and complaining against the legislature, etc. I want you to bring us up to speed on what this story is and where it's going, if you would, please.
Happy to do so, Zeb. As a matter of fact, I'm co-chairing an interim committee of 5 senators and 5 House members doing exactly that, figuring out how we're going to spend it. Now, there's a little bit of a wrinkle in that, and I'll explain that the wrinkle at the end. So if you would, bear with me for a couple of minutes, because I think the first thing we need to do is we need to go back and understand what is currently going on and what kind of money we're currently spending on those folks that will be covered by Medicaid come January the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Medicaid hasn't been expanded yet. It's expanded come January the 1st. Of 2020.
Right.
Currently, right now, we have an estimate of 91,000 people in the so-called GAP population, and that's not exactly, it's about 61,000 in the GAP, and then there's a number that we don't know about and a number that in the expansion of Medicaid must come off of the state exchange and go on to Medicaid because the feds are funding that at 100%. They don't want to fund it at 100% anymore. So the long and the short of it is that right now we are spending, between the state of Idaho and the counties, we're spending $67 million, and we're treating somewhere around, depending upon the year, between 10 and 15,000 of those people, and we're only paying for episodic care when they get really sick. We're not paying for an ounce of preventive care or anything else. So we're spending, and keep this figure in mind, we're spending $67 million. $20 million from county property taxes, okay, and $47 million from state general fund dollars. And the county has the county indemnity program that they're spending money through. The state has the catastrophic health care cost program that we're spending $20 million on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the state also funds, through the Department of Health and Welfare, 4 programs, basically substance abuse and mental health programs. We fund the Supreme Court specialty courts for mental health and substance abuse. That's direct tax dollars. And we're also funding the Department of Corrections for about $5 million for basically some mental health treatment, but mostly substance abuse treatment. Well, when we expand Medicaid, Zeb, that bill is going to be about $420 million. Are you still there, Zeb?
Yes, I am. I heard a clip, but you're still there, too.
Good. Okay. I heard a blip, and I don't know what that was. Anyway, so that's going to cost the state at 91,000 people. It's going to cost, the total program is about $419 million the first year, of which the state only owes 10% of that. So instead of spending $67 million come 2020, the state will only be responsible for spending $41.9 million, because all of that $67 million that we've been spending, Zeb, will all be covered by Medicaid. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is we're going to spend $25 million less next year than we have been spending. Now, the little wrinkle that I told you about that we're meeting today on, well, we're meeting this Friday. We've had 2 meetings, and we've got one more meeting coming up. You know what that's about? That's about a big fight over who gets the $25 million. The county doesn't want to spend any money, and they don't want to spend any money on that. They want to spend their money in other places. The state has gotten into a big fight in the legislature. You know, we're just exactly like a family in the legislature, Zeb. Let's presume for a moment that Grandpa dies and has $1 million, and there is no will or anything, and he's got a bunch of kids and grandkids, and so they all get in a fight over who's going to get Grandpa's money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a free $25 million floating around, and guess what the legislature's doing? Fighting about where else it's going to go. Education wants it, transportation wants it, and other places want it to spend. And Fred Wood, who's a real minority up there on this line of thinking, I really think we ought to put every bit of it in the budget stabilization account and save it, because the economy's getting a little rocky, and we're going to need it in a year or two.
Well, can I interrupt you right there, Fred, and ask a question?
Zeb, we don't need any new taxes.
Yeah.
We don't need any new money. Nothing. We're spending more than we're going to be spending in the future.
Right.
I'll be quiet and let you...
Just let me ask you a question about what you just said, because I think it's a point that maybe I'm going to show some naivete on this, but I want you to help educate me. You said there's $25 million that you say, and I agree with you, should stay where it is and go into savings for the budget, etc. I say that is there going to be a problem? That figure is going to be growing every year as far as needed money because of the influx of our population of people coming into the state, and we're going to be looking at a populace of increasing numbers, and many of which are going to be applying for Medicaid. So we've got an always growing number of people applying for funds that I think we need to make sure that we've got some kind of accrual of interest on that money.
I think that's an excellent point, and you got to remember the $67 million is just this 1 year. It has been significantly more than that until the state exchange took place and the Fed started paying for a part of that insurance. Well, that dropped it down because. And it dropped down to the lowest point about 3 years ago. It's been creeping up and growing at about 3%, which is what Medicaid's growing at. So you're exactly right. We need to put money away for that because, like everything else, there's inflation associated with health care. There's inflation associated with every single program that the state of Idaho funds. And those particular programs that I told you about that we're funding now, that Medicaid is going to take the place of, some of them have been growing at more than 3% a year. So you're right. We need to put it into savings, and we need to make sure that it stays there to pay for the increases that are going to come in every single program we have.
There have been a lot of people, a lot of writings to the paper, etc., and op-ed pieces submitted that have been very critical of the legislature and the work qualifications for Medicaid. What are your thoughts on this? I have said, and I've stated it, and I'll say it again this morning, there are many people that are physically able to work and help defray the costs of Medicaid, and they should. However, I'm seeing that a lot of people with liberal intent are saying, oh, no, that's too burdensome on these people. What are your thoughts?
Well, if you remember correctly, last year we passed work requirements for the expansion of Medicaid. That's a waiver that you have to apply for. Now, we applied for actually 4 waivers, 3 under the Affordable Care Act and 1 under the, the name escapes me right now, it's a support act. Mm-hmm. And that is for new money that the federal government put up for the opioid crisis, mm-hmm. To treat substance abuse.
Right.
Unfortunately, the federal government turned down our request on the first waiver, which was to keep people on the exchange and have the federal government pay for it. I told them at the time that we passed that there's no way that the federal government would ever go along with that, and it makes perfect sense. On the exchange, at the low end of the spectrum, of the economic spectrum, the feds essentially pay for 100% of that. So you can go get your commercial insurance policy, and they pay, 95, 96, 97% of that. Medicaid, they only pay for 70% of it. The state has to pay for 30% of it. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that it costs a lot more money for the federal government to keep somebody on the state exchange than it does to put them on Medicaid. So I knew doggone good and well that the feds would never approve that, and they've never approved it for any state. And Idaho has been turned down for that. The work requirements, I don't know if we're ever going to find out what's going on with the work requirements or any other waiver that we've applied for, because the Trump administration publicly has come out and said, we believe the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. We have this North Texas case now, and I think there's every chance that goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the Trump administration has publicly said, we're not going to approve any waiver until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on the constitutionality of that North Texas case, because we don't think the Affordable Care Act is constitutional. So I don't know if we're going to get a decision about that. We've already applied for it. Okay? We're on record of applying for that. Now, whether or not the feds are going to go along with it or even make a decision about that until the Supreme Court rules, Zeb, I can't tell you.
It would sound to me that leading up to, in a couple of months, the 2020 legislative session, that if Medicaid were a horse, it's got a big race to run before everything is finalized.
It does. And that's not the only big horse that's going to be in that race for money. And the other issue is the state revenues aren't, they came in $3 million more just this past month. But before that, they were down more than that. And the state early on revised the revenue figure downward more than $100 million. Right at the beginning of this fiscal year. So we're already anticipating less than $100 million in revenue than we thought we were going to have. So, and hence, again, that brings that savings of Medicaid out, as people are going to be fighting over that. And then if you add on top of that, I just read that the superintendent of public instruction is requesting another $100 million for education of new money. And remember, Zeb, we've put in more than $100 million of new money every single year for the last 5 years into education, and now they want another $100 million. All of this is not going to work. I mean, there's not enough money for that.
And you lead me into this question of the knowledge of the Idaho voter and the Idaho citizens. Does the public really understand about you can't pick that rock up and ring it with your hands and out squirts a bunch of $100 bills? I mean, where are you going to get this money from? How's it going to happen? And how are you going to fund all these things? But yet you've got a clamoring by these different groups and demanding for more money. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes for anything.
Deb, you would be amazed at the number of people. There's 2 or 3 or 4 of us. Kelly Hansen and I have both literally, whenever we get with a group of our legislators, say, listen, we need to be putting more money in the bank. We can't be spending money on this kind of stuff. This savings these reduced expenditures that we're going to have in the healthcare arena of $25 million, that ought to go into budget stabilization, and it shouldn't even be thought of going anywhere else. We're just laughed at. I mean, a bunch of them just stand there and laugh at it. And these are Republicans. They're not Democrats. They're Republicans. I'm not kidding you.
It's amazing to me, and we have a caller with a question. And Fred, I've got about 5 minutes left in this segment, so caller, keep your comments short, please. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Fred, I need to ask this question. With as much growth as there is going on in the state of Idaho, why are our revenues down?
The tax receipts are down. Some of that is due to the tax cut that was enacted a year ago. But commodities prices are off significantly in a lot of areas, as I understand it. And Idaho is still an agricultural state. But as far as I know, that's the cause of it.
Yeah, to me, it just doesn't add up with as much growth and activity as there is going on in the state. So that's what's gone through my mind here for the last few months. I've been hearing this. So, Brad, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, caller. Fred, I've got about 3 minutes left, and I want you to address an issue that I'm really concerned about because of what effect it might have not only today but in the near future, and that's the Salmon Recovery Act, and you're on that board, that committee. Tell us what's going on.
Well, Zeb, we've had 2 meetings, and so far all we've done is just review past actions, etc., and the current status of the science. And we're not completely done at this point in time with a review of the current status of the science. There's an awful lot of new science in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Most everything that we thought we knew about salmon 20 years ago turned out not to be true. So we do have another meeting in Lewiston for 2 days, Thursday and Friday of next week. I'll be going up to that. Might be good to come on the program in a couple of 3 weeks, and I'll have a little bit better ability to discuss what's going on. I don't see this as just a one-year committee meeting. I think that the governor's going to try to keep this work group together for a couple of 3 years, make sure that whatever recommendations come out of that is based in the absolute best science that we know today.
Okay. Fred, we have one more caller, and then I've got to curtail our conversation. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm asking about people with Medicaid. I've had friends that's been on disability and everything, and then when they died, there was a lien, and the state took their home. Will this be in effect with everybody whoever qualifies for this Medicaid? Will their homes be taken, or their property, medical lien put on it?
Okay, so you're really getting into an issue here. First of all, with respect to that program, doesn't apply to the medical benefits under Medicaid. What that program applies to is the long-term care benefits when you are no longer able to live in your home and you have to leave your home and go and stay in either an assisted living facility or a long-term care facility, a skilled nursing facility, and receive care there. That's when that program kicks in, and if you've got assets, then the state expects you to spend your own assets on your own long-term care prior to spending any state tax dollars. But if you do have assets, let's say you own your home, but you can no longer stay there and you have to leave your home and go to a long-term care facility, then a lien will be put on your house, and the state expects you to reimburse the cost that the state put out for your long-term care. But that's
I understand that, but I've had one friend die of cancer and one died of Crohn's disease, and they died in their own homes, and the state took their home.
I would need to know the specifics of that and what other programs they were on. Because on traditional Medicaid, that shouldn't be happening. There's got to be other issues associated with that. So everybody knows my phone number. It's in the book. Please give me a call afterwards with
thank you
information. I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
I appreciate your call, ma'am. Thank you very much. And I am out of time. And I want to say thank you to a life preserver this morning, and that is Idaho Representative Fred Wood for coming on the program. Fred, God bless you, man, and thank you so much.
You too, Zeb. Talk to you later.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Representative Fred Wood, and again, I want to reiterate that he has always been there when I've needed him, along with Kelly Anthon, Senator Kelly Anthon, and, of course, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke. Really great people to work with in serving us. I appreciate it. Let's see. We better get the weather forecast on here. Wheels is going, Zeb, look at the clock. I know, Wheels. Hey, don't forget Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I mean, we're talking about the professionals. We're talking about the people that can help you, your family, and your business. We're talking about the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. We're talking about Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've got two offices, one in Burley, one in Rupert, 1710 Overland and Burley, 625th Street in Rupert. And they bring you the weather, and here's Gina.
A few more rain showers are in the forecast for today, but we're going to be warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. 20% chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly towards the afternoon. We are expecting a high of 65 tonight, nice and clear, with a low of 43. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of about 70, clear, and 43 for tomorrow night as we make our way towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of about 76 with an overnight low of 47. Then for Saturday and for Sunday, sunny skies and highs in the low to mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Rand.
Gina, thank you very much, and brought to you by, again, the professionals in accounting services to you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. 1710 Overland and Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Want to remind you, this Friday and Saturday, and I meant to hit this early this morning, but I was so wrapped up in some other projects, I apologize. The 4th annual Patriotic Show and Shine, free to the public. Those are the key words, free to the public, standing for the red, white, and blue. We're going to start things off on Friday, Patriots Day, this 13th, this Friday at 1 o'clock on the square in Rupert. I urge you to be there as we show our patriotism and our appreciation for this wonderful country, the United States. Then on Saturday, they're going to have right there on the square the Show and Shine, absolutely big car show with bikes, boats, cars, food, vendors, all kinds of entertainment. Going to be a lot of fun. And this is 2 big days, 4th annual Patriotic Show and Shine, standing for the red, white, and blue on the Rupert Square in Rupert. Don't miss it. Please be there. Coming up next hour, we've got Ryan Loveless, and we're going to be talking about the despicable treatment of Judge Brett Kavanaugh. And then at 10:30, we've got Lowell Potty, nationwide, worldwide famous author and writer, and he's going to be talking about how the Democrats and the liberals are absolutely hell-bent on destroying the Electoral College. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely the best in life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this, and all you have to do is just call and make an appointment. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424, to people that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wow, it's been a great program, and let's see if I got anything else I need to mention real quick. I think we're up to speed, and we're going to take a little break for a couple of minutes, send it over to Wheels and CBS News. We'll be back. Don't go away. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now. Stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Woo, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. I also want to remind you quickly about some other friends of ours and yours at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Have you been there? Have you stopped in? Have you visited with Curtis and Lorena? Have you checked out all the electronic needs that are right there for you? Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, very important, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, and all the TVs from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. What a selection. And I'm telling you, they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 to serve you. Please stop in and see some really nice people with your electronic needs. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. Also, quick, yes, sir.
I was just going to ask real quick, do we have a backup for your 1006 guest?
For Ryan Loveless?
Yes, sir.
I will check immediately, my friend, and I do not, but repeat the number quickly, if you would.
630.
Yes.
818.
Yes.
5923.
All I can say is, like I do every time we have this problem, keep plugging away, if you would, please. And maybe I can get Deanne to follow up and find where he is. She's coming through the door here. So check it out, Wheels. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we have, and it looks like we do have an extra moment or two. I want to remind you about a great big sale that the Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to be conducting on this Saturday. And it is the Whitey Whitey and Linda Jones Estate Auction. That's going to be at 11 o'clock this Saturday morning, September 14th, in Castleford at 618 East 3500 North. Look for all the signs when you get over by Castleford. They'll tell you where to go. And this sale is going to feature a lot of antiques and glassware, furniture, household items. I mean, a lot of stuff that you probably would like to have in your possession. So get a hold of them today, this weekend on Saturday. 11 o'clock starting time, Whitey and Linda Jones Estate Auction, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yes sir, they do sell them all. Wheels, how we doing? We getting a hold of our guest?
I'm not having any luck, sir.
Well, perseverance, young man, perseverance. Keep trying, if you would, please. Calls are welcome in the interim, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Love to hear from you, so give us a jingle. While I'm waiting for your call, don't forget, let your house welcome you home with the perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access. You can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. I'm telling you, this is really something. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Check it out. Be comfortable. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today in Burley at 678-0459. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, you know, Bernie and all these people are talking socialism. Socialism is the way to go. And we've already had an experience with socialism here in the U.S. Well, two of them, actually. One, when the Pilgrims first come over, that's why they started this. And they found out they were about to starve to death because nobody had put out the effort.
That's right.
And then, look at the Indian reservation. Isn't that a guaranteed income? And look at how some of them are just failing and falling apart. Like
I'm going to say something here, Doug. I'm going to interrupt you and say something, and I want you to add to it. I think that system, as you called it, was the denigration and the defeat of a proud people.
Exactly. And then now we give them handouts. And look north of Flagstaff. If you want to drive through an area where the houses are just shack.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have no, I'm not saying all of them. There's a lot of Indians I grew up with that I know that are good people and hard workers. But some of them that just handed to them, that's all they care about.
Well, you don't have to be pertaining to any specific race or group of people. You can look at the overall concept of welfare run amok. When you continually hand people a living, possibly with this stupid, idiotic idea from the Democrats of universal income, Medicare for all, when you keep handing things to people, the excusing of medical debt or the excusing of college tuition debt. What you do is create a nation of nothing more than dependence.
Exactly. Why don't they come up with an excuse of business debt for, like, people that went into business for themselves, we're in debt. Why don't they come up and excuse our debt, too?
Yeah, don't get me started on that one, because when I had to pay, and I hate to say the holy I, but I paid for my own college. I worked for the money to pay for my own college tuition, and I'm very happy that I studied hard and graduated right at the top of my class. And I was very appreciative of my efforts and proud of what I've accomplished. That's something that a lot of people don't realize or can understand. Pride in what you do.
Exactly. You take and give something to somebody. Just give it to them. Like, give them a brand new car. And see how they appreciate it and how they take care of it. But you take another person and they earn it, and they save for it, and they pay for that new car. How do they take care of it?
It's going to be really interesting, and I mean this. Tomorrow night, I am going to be glued with my nose to my big screen TV, watching, listening, and taking notes from the Democrats in their debate. And I'll tell you why. I think tomorrow is going to be a kind of the weeding the garden. They're going to be going in there and digging out all the weeds, and there's going to be a lot of things said and done tomorrow night that are going to lessen and loosen the ties of 10 people that are up at those podiums, and I think we're going to see some big changes.
I think so. They're going to they're going to go after each other.
Yeah.
And eat their own.
Yeah.
And what they're going to say, they're going to promise you the moon and the stars, but they're not going to be able to fulfill it because there's no way you can afford it.
Well, Doug, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. They're going to trip all over themselves with their clown car that they just got out of, and they're going to try to figure out who's going to jump further to the left. It's going to be a leapfrog tomorrow night to see who can go further to the left and gain more of the media attention. I think it's going to be just hysterical to watch some of these people just absolutely fall off the cliff.
Right. And if I was back in my college or age of I went to college, I'm still going to school, the School of Hard Knocks. But back in your college days, if you guys want to have some fun, whenever they mention the word free, turn it into a drinking game. You'll only make it about a half hour into the debate.
Let's not go there. No, I'm really concerned about what this debate is going to show tomorrow night. I'm going to make some predictions, and I want you to hold me to the fire on these, okay, next Monday. I think that Joe Biden is going to fluster and flubber his way through this. I think he's going to show his frailties. I think he's going to show more gaffes. B, I think we're going to see waiver arms Elizabeth Warren try to take over the lead with some outlandish statements in this debate concerning Medicare and illegal immigration. C, I think we're going to see wild-haired Bernie just sit there and flubber and fluster just like old Joe Biden, but he's going to keep preaching the philosophy of communism and socialism, and I think the rest of the also-rans at their podium are going to be scratching their head going, how am I going to take over this debate? How am I going to get the questions? I'm toast.
Yeah, I think you got it right. Yeah, and Elizabeth Warren, that gal, has got where she is by claiming to be what she isn't.
Yeah, that's well put. She's claiming to be something she never was and never can be, and hopefully one of those never can be's will be the presidency. I just shudder, honestly. You want to wake up from a nightmare, after the day after the election, get out of bed and go to say to yourself when you look in the mirror starting to shave, Elizabeth Warren is my president? Oh, be careful shaving.
Oh, no joke. No joke. That's even worse than having Hillary.
Oh, my. Doug, I appreciate your comments, and thank you for helping me fill some time here. I don't know what happened to our guest, but we will do a little detective work after the program. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The debate and the questioners, be they as they are, I don't think they really stick the shovel in the dirt and try to turn it over. I don't. I think these people, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, whatever the case, they are very limited on their ability to pursue answers to questions, and they let things slip. And hopefully tomorrow night we will see a different approach. I'm not sure how it's going to be handled, but, there's a lot of questions regarding any one of the categories that we've been talking about, whether it's the illegal immigration, our border problems, whether it's the economy, Medicare, whether it's abortion issues, any of those issues and so many more need to be addressed so that we know exactly where the evil is coming from the Democratic Party. By the way, in a story that you may or may not be aware of, and I didn't have a lot of time this morning because of our remembrance of 9/11, but you have to sit back and wonder how devastating and how dangerous the news media can be and has been when we're finding out about CNN and their total disgusting hatred of President Donald Trump and their open disregard for him and his administration. They lied. They absolutely came out and lied with a story that had connected, so to speak, Donald Trump with a Russian spy. It never happened. The CIA and others even came to the defense of President Trump, along with some of your not-so-obvious liberal groups, like the New York Times. It never happened. We're talking about fake news. We're talking about dangerous news. Are we going into this next very critical election with liars, frauds, and charlatans running these news bureaus that because they don't like Donald Trump and because they don't want him reelected and they don't want his administrative policies, they're going to shake, rattle, and roll. All the stories are going to be lies, innuendos, and absolutely try to reshape the thinking of the American public? Yeah? Yeah, it seems that way. These allegations against Trump, when they did some checking and detective work, found out that he wasn't even the president. Yet. I'm telling you, folks, we've got some real problems out there, and we cannot bury our heads in the sand or wherever. This next election is going to be so critical and dangerous. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I'd love to hear from you this morning. Please. Don't forget, I'll be right there. Stand by. Greystone Crossing, and this is absolutely a beautiful place. We went over and toured it on behalf of their open house that they had on August 22nd. Oh my goodness, Kelly and Matt Wiggins, they have hit a home run with Greystone Crossing for seniors. This is a wonderful location. 3 meals a day plus snacks plus housekeeping, local transportation, everything included in the rent like that. And I'm telling you, the facility is knockout good. Knockout good. And I urge the seniors to call them and arrange for an appointment to tour the facility at 650-4979. 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. Absolutely, we're seniors living the good life with friends. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I've said this before. Their hatred for Trump is so forefront in their brain, they cannot think of anything else, and they can't do anything. They can't accomplish anything because they're so hell-bent, pardon my language, on taking him down. And can you imagine what they could get done if they just cooperated with him a little bit?
It's not a question of what they could get done. It's a question of what needed to be done and what still needs to be done that's way overdue, with a total lack of respect for the American public.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
I mean, they don't give a hoot who they're working for or anything else. They have one agenda, and that is to take Trump down. And God help us if they get that accomplished.
Well, here's the thing, though, Donna. What are you doing? And I'm not trying to point my finger at you, and please, you're one of my very dearest friends. But all people need to look themselves in the mirror and say, what am I doing to help this situation and fight socialism and fight idiocy in this country? What are you doing? Everybody's got to jump up and, I think, be accounted for and be heard, because I think, honestly, In the 14 months that we have before that election, Donna, I think we haven't seen the bottom of the barrel. The bad, crusty, rusty people are going to come out, and they're going to try to do some insidious things if we don't stop it.
Yeah, I believe you're right. You know, I've talked to some of the senators that I know, and you know, they can only do so much too. I'm not saying they're good or bad or indifferent, but you know, some of them just sit back in their chair and say, "Well, what can I do? How can I?" Well, that's what we elect you for. You're supposed to know these things.
I think that I'm going to try to do all I can on this program, whether it's rallies or whether it's contacting people all around the United States to lend my support to various senators and congressmen that are running and trying to overthrow some of the Democrats in those areas. Yesterday I had Lieutenant Governor Jennifer Carroll on from Florida, very articulate, very smart politician, a lady that knows what's going on. I'm going to try to do the very best I can to keep the Democrats at bay. I have lumped their party together into one four-letter word, and that's evil. Somebody can be offended by that, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't care what people think. They can believe and think what they want, but they need to get a reality check before it's too late. There's so many people that are so ill-informed. So I don't know what the answer is. I just know somehow we need to fix it.
Well, you are from an area to where you are very, very blessed, and I know you're aware of it. You have basically living right in the confines of your area, a gentleman that I think is one of the epitomes of great politicians and knowledge, and that's Senator Kelly Anthon. And we just had Representative Fred Wood on the program earlier this morning, and we are blessed with some really good in-state politicians, but I'll tell you something. We've got to be extremely careful about what's going on with the national scene, because we have very hateful people against this country that are trying to take away our electoral college. They're trying to take away our Bill of Rights. They're trying to change our amendments. Donna, we've got to stand up and be counted.
Oh, I totally agree with you, Zeb. And anything I could do to help you help the situation, you know what my phone number is.
Well, all you have to do is on Friday afternoon, just be there with a cheeseburger.
I can do that. Yes, I can do that.
No, we're looking forward to it. Donna, thank you so much. God bless.
You betcha. Have a good day,
All right, thank you very much. I tell you, folks, like I said, tomorrow night, inform yourself. Inform yourself and draw your own conclusions. And remember the values of what you learned in school when they were still teaching all about the values of our Constitution and everything else. And listen to these people up at those podiums for the Democratic Party. It'll scare you to death. You thought when you were a kid you were scared of Frankenstein and Dracula. Whoa! Biden and the rest of this crew, they'll scare you to death. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I have something I want to share with you. It's from an article I received from a friend in Minneapolis from the Star Tribune paper. It says that the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the largest Protestant denomination in Minnesota, has become the first North American denomination to declare itself a sanctuary church committed to supporting and sheltering migrants entering the country. And it goes on. It's unreal. So this is the first time a denomination has urged its members to engage in actions ranging from providing living spaces for migrants to supporting them in immigration courts. But then it goes on to say, we are not asking people to break the law. And then it talks about their new sanctuary guidelines, and that they want to provide place for people to live, financial, legal support. This is what the church wants to do. It's going to drain all their resources.
Yeah. I will say this, and we've got to be really careful about how we phrase this, but you're talking about, now say it again, what church denomination did you mention? Say it again.
It's a Lutheran church.
No.
Lutheran Church.
No.
In America. That's the ELCA.
That's right. That is
Missouri Synod. Here I belong to the Missouri Synod Lutheran Church.
Yes.
The ELCA is quite liberal.
Yes.
And we are not in fellowship with the ELCA.
And I'm so glad, let me interrupt you right there and say I'm so glad that you made that distinction, because the evangelicals have been way off on a limb that somebody's sawing off, and they are not to be confused with the Lutherans with the Missouri Synod, of which I am also a member, and I just think we need to make the distinction so that when the finger pointing starts, they point the fingers at the right group.
Well, yes, I am appalled. I don't want any part of it. I have no sympathy or no connection with that, and I just think it's a disgrace. There are nationally, the ELCA has about 3.3 million members.
Right.
And they are, they're leaning toward a lot of things that, well, I won't go into all that, but I just wanted to point out that they have in their convention, which was in August, have declared themselves to be a church, a sanctuary church. Now, what are you going to do with that?
Now, let me ask you this quickly, and I'm almost out of time because I got to go back to the main studio. But there again, this reiterates my point that pastors, I don't care about the denomination. I don't care if it's Lutherans, Methodists, Episcopalians. I don't care who it is. They've got to be having strong leadership in the church to point these things out to their congregate members, and the pastors are not doing their job.
Well, I think they have to walk a very fine line in getting involved in so-called politics. They're to preach the word and to, they want to proclaim what Jesus says, and then we should be smart enough to figure out, well, that doesn't mean we should behave the way they are.
Yeah, but they're supposed to preach the word, not be intimidated by the word. And the word is, let's talk about abortion. Let's talk about LGBT. Let's talk about any issue. They're running and shirking their duties and not preaching the word the way the Bible says.
Well, we need to get into the word, and then we figure that out for ourselves. But it's gotten... we've been so duped, and we're allowing it to happen, and I'm really sorry. But anyway, I just thought I should share this with you, that the ELCA has now become a sanctuary church.
Yes.
And that's official.
I appreciate your call, and your voice sounds familiar. I'm not going to ask you your name, but I sure think I've talked to you before. God bless you, and thank you for the call. I got to run. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Got to send it over to Wheels. I'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, thank you very much. One quick word. Don't forget to let your house welcome you home with the perfect temperature every day. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features the remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. Hey, check it out. Be comfortable. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Be comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I'm really anxious to hear what this gentleman has to say. I read his story about the Electoral College and its enemies, and we have now former Reader's Digest roving reporter. He's written and had articles put in all the major newspapers across this country. Lowell Ponte, good morning, sir. How are you?
Zeb, good to be back with you. Thanks for inviting me.
You know, your writing of this story about the Electoral College, I got to tell you something, Lowell. We've never met. I'm an old man. I'm set in my ways, and I'm getting awfully mad, and I've cleaned up my language, awfully mad at the people on the left, the Democrats that want to change, alter, and throw away what this country stands for. Take it from there.
Well, they want to have power, and the Electoral College stands in the way of their power. Our founders had an amazing opportunity, and that was to literally build the country from scratch, to develop on paper all the ideas by which the country would be run. And they were familiar with history. They had seen what happened with ancient Greece and direct democracy and how that often led to tyranny. They had seen how the Romans tried to run things and so on. And they did not want a direct democracy. They did not want a mob that could be led by someone who was demagogic, who was very charismatic, and so on. They wanted some way to rein that in, and of course the way to do that is with a republic through which a lot of governance is handled indirectly. That is, you don't vote for a bill yourself. You have representatives in Congress who do that, and who presumably know more than you do, or have more time to study what it is than you do. And so that's what they opted for, and part of that, when it came to the president, was the Electoral College, where number 2 points that often get overlooked. Number one, we don't have one election for president in the United States. We have 50 or 51.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Idaho's votes are completely separate from California's votes. They only come together when the electors of each state meet several weeks after the election and decide who will be the president. But they always have the choice, the option, to change their mind. And in fact, that's been emphasized recently by a federal court ruling in Colorado, that said they don't even have to keep their oath anymore to the voters of their own state. Usually an elector is pledged to vote however the people of their state vote. But that's all changed. Well, we'll get into that as we get to this. But there has been every attempt since the Constitution was written to make it possible for demagogues and for raw majorities nationally to take control of the presidency and the rest of the government if they could. And that's what getting rid of the Electoral College is all about. Get rid of the 50 separate votes. Get rid of the power that gives to smaller states in the Union. Like I live in California. We have 40 million people. We have 2 senators. In Idaho, I don't know how many million people you have, but you too also have 2 senators. And there are states with less than 1 million people in them that have 2 senators. That translates into the number of electors each state has. Your number of electors is the number of members of Congress you have plus the number of senators you have. Every state has 2 senators. Every state has at least 1 congressman,
right,
even if they have a tiny population. And that means that smaller states are advantaged. Now, what is the important thing about that? It keeps just a tiny handful of giant states from controlling the political process. It keeps California all by itself from deciding who will be the president, for example. And it almost can do that. I mean, California has well up into the 50s of electoral votes. You need 270 electoral votes to elect a president. And so what has the left in particular done when they are unable to amend the Constitution? That's much too difficult for them to do the way it's set up. And so what they're doing now is trying to circumvent the Constitution with a thing called an interstate compact or agreement among states. They've gotten various liberal states, at this point 15 of them, to agree to the idea that whoever wins the national popular vote will win the electoral votes of the states that have joined the compact. So far, I think they have 196 electoral votes controlled by those 15 states, plus the District of Columbia, out of 270 needed. In other words, they have about 72% of all they need to elect a president, regardless of how individual states vote. Under this compact, a state agrees that even if its people vote the other way, the electoral votes of that state will go for the winner of the national popular vote. But the national popular vote, well, we've heard Hillary Clinton talk about this. Oh, I won the national popular vote. And every time I hear her do that, I hear a little voice saying, well, I got more runs in the game than Donald Trump did. Yeah, Hillary, you did, but we're playing football. We're not playing baseball. Runs don't count in the game we're playing. The only thing that counts is touchdowns and field goals and so on. And Donald Trump clearly won there. Won by, 70 electoral votes or so above her. And the problem is they are, in effect, changing the rules, changing the very game itself being played, by saying that the national popular vote now becomes all-powerful once they get enough liberal states to add up to 270 electoral votes. That's when this compact takes legal effect. The problem with that, of course, is Hillary did win the popular vote, and almost all of her majority of that excess she got came from California. California, which has one of the most dishonest voting systems ever devised in the United States. The same system that the Democrats are now trying to impose nationally from the House of Representatives. For example, you know what California has? It has a thing called ballot harvesting. You know how ballot harvesting works, Seb?
To some degree, yes.
Party, at its option, can send 5 mail-in ballots to every household that it chooses, whether they've asked for a mail-in ballot or not. They get 5 mail-in ballots if they have, for example, a Spanish surname, which means they're more likely than not to vote Democrat. And they use a lot of other indicators as to which families are likely to vote Democrat. And these are mailed out weeks before the election. And then, just before Election Day, a knock comes on the door of every one of those households. And at the door stands a person saying, "Hi, I've come for your ballots." And the person at the door says, "Oh, but senor, I am not even a citizen of the United States. My wife and I did not think we could vote. We just left the ballots alone." And, "Oh, no, that's okay, Pablo. You just hand me the blank ballots, and I will take them down and have them counted. We'll fill them out for you. You don't need to worry a thing about it." And by that method, Democrat operatives have the power in California to literally take 18-wheel trucks full of ballots collected that way to the polling place where the totally Democrat-controlled electoral process approved the ballots. I mean, I live in Southern California. I watched as every Republican incumbent on election night in 2018 won re-election. And then the next 2, 3, 5 days, suddenly thousands and thousands, a tidal wave of ballots appeared from nowhere. And in every case, there was just enough ballots to overcome the Republicans.
Lowell, when you hear a mooing of the cow on my program, it means that we have a call. But before we take this call, I've got to ask you this question and give me a short answer on this. This movement to absolutely destroy the fabric and the cornerstones of our constitutional values, etc., who is leading this effort, and when did this all start to try to change and throw away, i.e., the Electoral College?
Voted to legalize ballot harvesting, which is illegal in most states. It's obviously a tool of vote fraud. But it was legalized in California 3 years ago. In California, we have a supermajority of Democrats controlling both houses of the legislature. How did we get that? How did a Democrat become the automatic governor and so on? Oh, because California is home to 1/3 of all the welfare recipients in the United States and more than 1/4 of all the illegal aliens in the United States.
Well, right now, let's take that call quickly.
Center opposing counting who's legal, who's the citizen, and who is not a citizen on the U.S. Census, meaning that everyone in the state can be counted as a voter.
Yes.
And in fact, 4 years ago, they implemented a system. Interestingly, on April Fool's Day, they implemented a system where if you go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a driver's license, you will be automatically registered to vote. You have to actually go through a procedure to stop that from happening. And the registration is not based on whether you're a citizen or not, but whether you are a resident of the state or not.
I see.
And voila, you are registered.
Let's take a quick call, if we may. And caller, you're on the air. Make it short and sweet. Go ahead, please.
So, in other words, there'll never be a Republican governor ever again, senators ever again. At this rate, California's heading down the toilet. It's just about ready to go down into the dark drain. And you wonder if anybody's ever going to wise up down there in what used to be the most delightful state on earth. And how bad does it need to get before they do wise up? And I'm going to tell you this much. My God, we're not going to bail your ass out. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, Lowell. Thank you.
That's the real issue. This is not limited to California. If California can steal elections in that way, they could steal the entire national election if this vote compact is put in place. They can steal billions of dollars from Idaho just because California will have so much clout in the Congress, even though it may in some ways be bankrupt as a state, even though it has all these welfare recipients. How are they going to pay for them? Oh, very simple. They'll collect the taxes from Idaho and every other state because they have more than 50 seats in Congress. They can force their way. The Speaker of the House right now is a Californian. Well, she actually was the son of the Democrat boss of Baltimore when she was a little girl growing up. Her dad, who was the mayor of Baltimore, would call little 7-year-old, 8-year-old Nancy Pelosi to the phone, and he had her trained, so anytime someone called asking the government a favor, she was taught to say, "What? You want a building permit from us? Well, here's what you have to give us."
You know, Lowell, let me...
She was thinking at age 8. The politics is war, manipulation, and theft.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly how she thinks today.
Let me ask you this, in regards to other Democrats that all of a sudden have come to the forefront, and God knows I can't understand how or why. They have put Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat newly elected, a young know-nothing girl that was a bartender a few short months ago, and now she's leading the Democratic Party over a cliff, and she's one of the people that called the Electoral College a scam filled with racial injustice. Explain that to me, and why are we putting up with this kind of garbage coming out of our United States House of Representatives?
Well, there are states in the United States that do not match the racial profile of the United States. Of course, I've often said if you really want to match racial profiles, let's start with the National Football League, where you have 75% of football stars in the country being African American. Why? Because they're the best. Because they're there by genuine merit and ability. But that doesn't matter when you're imposing racial standards on things. No, football teams should be made to look like America, the way they try to make factories and everybody else look like America. Meaning, you have to be 12.5% black, you have to be 16, I'm talking national average, you have to be 16.5% Hispanic, you have to be 4% Asian, and so on. Oh, and you have to be 53% female. And so you will have a football team that plays lousy football that nobody wants to watch, but it will be a team that looks like America. And that's the alternative. They want to repudiate all meritocracy, all standard of quality as to who gets what in the country. And they want to be able to run elections for a simple reason. They want to control who guides where the money goes, who the money is taken from, who the money is given to, and so on.
Absolutely.
And we now have, my God, look at this election. I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is merely an example of where the entire Democratic Party is going. For the first time, Elizabeth Warren is saying it isn't enough to have an income tax that takes up to 92%, as it did under FDR, of what people earn. We also must have a wealth tax. So if somehow they were able to save even a penny beyond what we were taxing them, we're now going to come back and tax that also. We're going to obliterate any remnant of the idea of private property by the simple standard that you don't own your property anyway. After all, what if you stop paying property tax on it for 2 or 3 years? Why, the government would just come and reclaim it. The government is the owner of all property. The government, according to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is also the owner of all money. Why? Because the government printed it. I mean, you may think you're a rich person because you've got a pile of money you can put on your bed and throw up in the air. Boys and girls, they own the printing press. they can make all the money they want. And that's the economic theory they want to follow. It's called modern monetary theory. That they will simply print money, and by so doing, they'll destroy the value of your money. In other words, the value of your money will be transferred to their money because they get to spend it first. And accordingly, you will just be taxed to death by way of inflation. That's how they will do it. They can't possibly pay the debt they've already run up.
Absolutely.
And what she is proposing in her Green New Deal would cost at a minimum $93 trillion. Now, you understand the entire budget of the federal government is just a skosh over $4 trillion.
That's right.
She wants programs that will add another $93 trillion on top of that.
Lowell, I've only got about 3 minutes left, and I want you to give us your speculation and opinion as to where we are today with these problems and the slamming and damming of our electoral college and the vote harvesting and all of these problems leading up to, in 14 months, the 2020 elections. How concerned are you and or worried that we're going to see some very devious ways, upheaval, and total chaos going into that election?
Well, they want to cut off your freedom of speech. They want to cut off your right to vote, in effect, by nullifying the elections, by making every election easily stealable. By the way, Craig Smith and I have a 7th book out now. Craig, you see every week on with Neil Cavuto on Fox Business.
Mm-hmm.
Our latest is called Money, Morality, and the Machine, and the good news is that for Zeb, your listeners, you don't have to pay $20 to Amazon to get it. You can get the copy of this book absolutely free and postpaid. We'll pay the postage. We'll pay everything. It will not cost you a penny. You just call the toll-free number 800-630-1492, like the year Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's 800-630-1492, and that will explain a lot of what we didn't have time to get to today. But where are we going? Well, we're going to a system that is no longer democratic, where you will be cut off from all of the standard Internet means of communication because you are probably right-wing, or at least not left-wing. You're going to be ruled now, the next election and those forward, the single biggest voting bloc will be millennials. The millennial generation, a third of whom are still living at home in mom and dad's basement. A generation that has 4 to 6 less IQ points by measurement than the generations before it. A generation so dumb that Home Depot, which makes its little how do you do things at home with tools, videotapes for people, they had to make videotapes to show millennials how to drive a nail with a hammer and how to measure with a tape measure.
My.
That's the millennial generation that will now be the dominant vote in the United States.
Lowell, I've got to wrap it up here this morning. Give us the title of that new book along with yourself and Craig Smith, and I have the number. I'll reiterate that, but tell us the title of the book one more time.
Sure. Money, Morality, and the Machine.
Lowell Ponte, and I want to say how much
Nationhood, sovereignty, your independence.
I appreciate your being on the program this morning, and for my listeners to get a copy of that book, 800-630-1492. Lowell Ponte, thank you. I'm out of time. I hope you'll consent to coming back in the future. God bless. Thank you so much.
I just wish I could live in Idaho.
All right, do too. Thank you. Appreciate it. Come back soon. Very interesting author and writer, and I'm honored to have him on the program, Lowell Ponte, as he has his complete story called The Electoral College and Its Enemies. And if anybody wants that number again for that free book, please, it's 800-630-1492. Thank you. Wow, I'm late. I've got to get a weather forecast on here, brought to you by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Don Scarrow and the crew, and you can go to their website and check out all the delicious meats, scarrowsmeats.com. Don't forget, you're having a party, a reunion, a picnic, whatever the case might be, marinated pork ribs, tri-tips, all the different sausages and bacons and bratwurst. Oh, it's delicious. Please remember Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A few more rain showers are in the forecast for today, but we're going to be warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. 20% chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly towards the afternoon. We are expecting a high of 65 tonight, nice and clear, with a low of 43. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of about 70, clear, and 43 for tomorrow night as we make our way towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of about 76 with an overnight low of 47. Then for Saturday and for Sunday, sunny skies and highs in the low to mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Gina, thank you. She always does such a wonderful job on the weather. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and his crew, believe me, the most of the delicious meats. As a matter of fact, that's part of the tagline. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time from Scarrows Meats. I want to say thank you again to our guest this morning on a very, very serious and somber day, 9/11 Remembrance. And as we wrap up the program this morning, I want to say also for our major sponsor of our program, a big thank you to our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations right now are having a great big fall tire sale. Don't want to miss it. You can stop in and check out all the tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes for your vehicles and your camp trailers, horse trailers, whatever. Please stop in because they've been doing the right thing since 1952. All your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. They are the best, and they prove it at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We should never forget, absolutely. And I appreciate all your comments this morning on this September 11th, 2019. 18 years ago, evil hit America. I pray that it won't ever happen again. And we should never forget. In God we trust, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zebeth Ranch. Wheels, thank you, my friend.